means there is at least one person who feels the same. So I'm very happy that I can see more than like 18 people that feel the same as me today, and I want to say that I have great respect for teachers, and you have so much power in your hands. I think you don't even realize. I hope this will make you realize. And I believe that right now you're basically shaping Europe's future. So be proud of what you're doing. Okay, some very quick introduction about myself. I am a Romanian living currently in Belgium. I am working here, and because the story started like this a bit more than a year ago, I was looking for a girl to apply for sort of 3 months. It was an activity, 3 months. We had to code and develop an app, and we would also get paid. The idea was the learning part. However, neither in Romania nor in Belgium I could not find any woman to join me, and we really had to be a pair. So I said, this cannot be possible. We need to do something about it. I think it was the first time I actually realized that there are not so many of us there. Although in the university, and I have a technical background, at the university I never felt like we were just too few. So this is how it all started. After realizing that we are not too many, I started organizing Rails Girls events. The first one we organized was actually this year in February in Belgium. We are more than 3 now, 3 events plus a lot of study groups with girls who want to go on learning, as well as in Romania. We have already organized 4 in 2 different places. I can tell you more about what this means at the later point. Feel free to ask questions if something is not clear. I can see Romanians, and I'm very happy to to welcome them. Okay, should we then start with the presentation?
Yes, please, Anna. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I have to move my slides, right?
Yes, Anna, you can just click forward and backwards with your on your keyboard, and then.
I think I found it. Just a second. Okay, this is a clear example of.
If you just Anna, if you just click the cursor buttons on your keyboard, then you will be able to move forward and backward with the presentation.
I tried that, and up and down, left, doesn't work. Is there a possibility that you can control it?
Yes, I can control it. So if you want, I can do it. You just always let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
When it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then let's start. Feel free to add questions. Meanwhile, I'm presenting this. My purpose, my goal for this is to basically give you some ideas that I have thought about quite some time now. There is a lot of room to improve and to get more ideas, so this is not an absolute. You can definitely reply and tell us what you think. And also, of course, whenever you think I'm not specific enough, feel free to ask questions. Okay, Ben, let's start.
Okay, I've moved it forward.
Yeah.
You can't see it?
I cannot see it, yeah.
Oh.
This is...
You still can't see it?
I still cannot see it.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to take back the presenter wall.
Okay.
Sorry about this. So
no
just give us a second.
Meanwhile, I would like to ask you... yes, now I can see it. Yeah. Good. Meanwhile, I would like to ask you, why do you think this is important? Think about yourself and your own reasons. I have 3 very important reasons, but I would be really happy to be inspired by you. So if you have some ideas, just please share. So I believe that first and foremost, we need to get more girls. And actually, honestly, I think we need to get just more people generally. This whole gender thing, there is a whole movement right now, but which is good, and it's interesting to see that things are moving. But generally, we need more people, definitely. So first and foremost, I think that the computing industry is one of the fastest growing at nowadays across the globe. I have all kinds of companies from Romania writing me that they need people on different technologies and to ask me if I can recommend them people. I can see the same in Belgium. So I think there's a lot of place. There are a lot of jobs that cannot wait to be filled in. Focusing just on half of the population, let's say, assuming wildly that we are 50-50, that will not help us meet the demand, basically. We need to consider girls, and we need to encourage them to actually consider a career in IT. Secondly, because women are actually users of digital tools and IT technologies in a very high rate, actually. So apparently they are first in maps, so Google Maps stuff, in GPS stuff. We need women in order to be involved in the process, in the chain. By that I mean that we risk having women only as users, but not as developers, and not as women that project and design and develop tools that women will use eventually. So this is a very important key, and sometimes I don't hear it as often, but I believe it's something that is worth considering. And third, and of course not last, I think we live in a digital world already. Probably right now we are using technology in order to have this call and this webinar. So we are in a point where we, unfortunately or fortunately, we cannot fight it. So we cannot just run away from it or pretend it's not there. We need to learn and to get up to speed. So why not be prepared for that, and why not prepare girls from an early age to be prepared for them? If you have questions, or I can read in the panel. So feel free to think about your why and why do you think this is important. If you go to the next slide, this is already summarized there, so people who could not attend and could see just the presentation, for example, we have it here, which reminds me actually that at one point, I think, I don't know, the CEO of Toyota or BMW, so anyway, some famous car company. I'm not paid now to make some commercials, but the idea is that, so they are doing cars, and he was saying every company will actually be an IT company if it's not there by now. So this means that software is already so important everywhere that you need it in any industry. Okay, let's move on. Forgot to mention, but a bit of a structure of the presentation. So first, I wanted to point out the why I think is important to get more girls into computing and work for this. Then I will go into what. So this part will basically, I want to try to give you some big ideas that you can think that could motivate you to get more concrete ideas, where I will actually go in the third part, so the how part, where I have some concrete actions that are happening now. This is where I will talk about Rails girls. And then last but not least, I would like to leave you with a question and to have some discussion about, okay, what can we do concretely? What can you do? What would you like to do? Okay. So about the what part, if you go on the next slide, Ben, I already have a good summary there. So my first point is that you will see that all my slides are basically processed. This one is not. It's especially because of the girls' nail polish. And that is because this made me think that girls actually don't care so much. I think IT is not so important to girls or relevant, or it's not, I don't know, attractive, because they think that the end goal of this is to just be a developer, staying on a chair for 8 to 9 hours a day, face a screen, not talk to people, but talk to machines, which of course doesn't sound very, or not anyway, too pleasant. I think what we miss there is to determine girls to understand that IT is just a tool that can help them build their ideas, make their ideas come true, and by implementing their ideas, basically making the world a better place. I think this is really, really, really important, and try to use it when you're teaching. For example, I was thinking that probably we don't have only English, we don't have only IT teachers here, or anyway, if you're an English teacher, for example, and you have kids, girls in your classroom that maybe have ideas of how to build a software, or if there would be a tool. Generally, they just have ideas, but if there would be a tool in order to, I don't know, teach grammar and make grammar more fun for kids, or for parents, or for grandparents who might not be so knowledgeable in a foreign language, support them. That's the end goal for them. That has to be the end goal for them. Independently of the subject, I think you can determine girls, and you can make a bridge between the subject you are teaching and finding a way in IT tools that can help them actually make a dream come true. I think that girls basically just don't consider a career in IT because it's not attractive for them. And I think I was watching the two videos you also have posted in this module. So I think that, I don't know, Professor Stuart Ball was saying that you have to be creative and you have to make it very attractive for their age, or see what they are interested in. I would go even further and say that they need to know they can make a difference, and IT can help them make a difference. If we go on with the next slide, and if you could help me with that, thank you. Yeah. So the secondly, I think was it this one? Yeah, it's this one. It's the role model things. Yeah. So the role model things. Another point. Why don't girls see actually or know about women is that because they don't see women doing this. So you definitely need to mention them about women. I have already seen your thoughts shared on this topic, and I think some of you already pointed out that you should they should meet women in tech in your community. I'm sure that if you try to look for some companies, for sure they have, and they would be very grateful to maybe either give you an intro of what they do, of what they build, how is it for them, a day at work, and so on. The next slide, I think, has even more concrete actions. So by that I mean you can invite some women, maybe you can have even parents, mothers in your environment at school that work in IT, and then could come and talk for an hour or something, showcase some stuff. You can organize visits to local companies. These initiatives that target generally kids are very, very popular nowadays. So probably you just need to get in touch with somebody, propose something, and you will probably have a go. Then somebody was also saying in your thoughts that you can showcase videos of female engineers. What do they do? What did they build? I have heard a lot of cases in Africa, actually, of women who have found problems in their communities, such as raping, for example. And what they did was to build an app where they could showcase what areas of the city women should avoid because there is high risk of raping. So this is incredible. It's very connected to the first point, right? So the idea is that they will not care so much about what's behind, what technology and everything, but what will the product, the end product, how will that impact the world? How will that help the community, the people around them? That's my second point. So I think that girls don't, if they don't see women, they will not think. And I think as I mentioned earlier, a career, they don't consider a career in IT because they don't even think about it. So by giving them, bringing women, putting them, showing them, they will be more receptive, and they will be able to portray themselves as doing that. Which leads me to the third point, and this is actually the one, probably the hardest one of them. So then if you could go to the third point, yes. I can see the slides are moving, and I just cannot click to that. Now I can. Oh, okay. Now I can control myself. So I think the third point, and very important, is to give them small tasks. As I was mentioning earlier, make them do things. If you're an English teacher and you wouldn't mind if they would do a homework by building a blog, just do that. The idea would be that they start learning how internet works, how does a blog work, what do they need to do, along the fact that they will write their homework. IT is a world where knowledge cannot be built overnight. It needs discipline. It needs a lot of time and patience, like a lot of things I would dare to say. So nothing new. You just need to build knowledge bit by bit, and by organizing different activities or motivating them to do something regarding technology, regarding learning already, will help a lot. Make them consider a career in IT, or why not taking some classes, attending some events. This would also be a way to at least see if this would fit them or would be interesting for them. Yes. What I want to say here is that you can also brainstorm with them for project ideas. If they notice problems in their environment, in their community, at home, parents, or anything, you can already make them talk, ask them for ideas, how would you solve that, and then try to find ways to implement them. Now, how to find ways? I think promoting events where they can start learning and building and doing stuff, it's already a very good start. You might think, okay, what kind of events are there out there? So I'll go to the next slide, which, as I was telling you, will show you the how. I will talk more about the Rails Girls events. I think that nowadays there are more events than ever, and this will continue growing, so you shouldn't worry too much. With a bit of initiative, all things are like 1 meter away, some clicks away at least. So what kind of events do I have in mind? Rails Girls events, and this is how I basically started. Rails Girls events are events all over the globe. I think there are more than 200 by now. There have been more than 200 events by now, more than 10,000 women impacted. How does it look? We meet on a Saturday and we develop an app. There are coaches who are helping the girls. Usually there is a ratio of 1 coach and 2-3 girls who are being assisted, which means that whenever they stop, they have questions, there's somebody next to them who can explain them stuff. The good thing is that by the end of the workshop, they have already an application to showcase, and they're very proud of themselves, and you leave them with a feeling that, hey, I can actually do this, and it's not that hard. I think the problem is often that they don't know where to start, so this is a very good point for girls that attend Rails Girls events. Now, we had participants like from 15 to 55, so there is no really a limit. I have heard people in Poland. I mean, I think there was an event, at least one event in Poland. That's the one I am aware of, but I'm sure there are some more who were targeting girls, a younger age, so like 10, 14 to 18. And I'm actually very interested to do something like that in Belgium. So if there's somebody like that in Belgium or Romania or Greece, because I'm more tied to these three countries, then just let me know, and maybe we can do something together. Then there are Coder Dojo events who generally are targeting kids, but without necessarily being oriented to women, which is actually very good, because eventually in day-to-day life we work together. There's no like women who develop or not. So these are events, again, that are taking place on Saturdays. There are coaches who are playing with kids. They have all kind of activities, from building all kind of small programs to, I think, even robots. So that's a very good example of doing practical hands-on things that kids are proud about. I know that there is an yeah, they're targeting kids from 7 to 17, and I know that in Belgium they are doing actually an event in 30 or 31st of January next year that is called Coder Diva. So it's like really now they are really targeting just girls. However, yeah, I don't know if there are more around there, but for sure, if you look or if you want to organize some, there are people who want to help you. And then make your own workshop. For that, I also put here links for investigating more about Race Girls Coder Dojo. And then my last important point is Out of Code, which will actually take place in from 8 to 14 of December. So really in a weekend a bit, we have a couple of days to take some action. The idea would be to have activities of 1 hour that showcased generally kids to learn how to code or to do something, to build something. It's a really big movement, and it's like, again, globally. So if you try and check what you can do there, I think you can definitely find some developers who would be interested to have a workshop for kids, prepare something as small as possible. You can imagine in 1 hour, there's not necessarily, it's not necessarily a lot of time, but anyway, enough time to already make them interested, get them interested. To conclude, I think that generally there is so much movement right now that I think it can only go good. Generally, if you have kids, don't necessarily separate them. Definitely make them all interested in computing, or at least help them get a chance to see what that means, because we have there are so many jobs out there that need to be filled in, and we need girls into being in the developing chain, in designing products and tools that women will use eventually. Remember that girls don't even consider it, but if you make them think about it and show them what they will build will impact and how that will help people, it will be so much more attractive for them. And then I just remember one point that there was this debate, a small debate, that girls are more or better than boys in programming. I don't believe in such things. So don't discriminate or don't put too much emphasis on one or another. Just treat them the same, and yeah, I'm sure things will go the right way. Yes, I think it's time for our question. Actually, Ben, could we have that?
Of course. So maybe, Oana, you can introduce the question and I'll get the poll started in the meantime.
Definitely. So my point, what I think it would be really good and nice for you to think about after this webinar are like, what are the top 3 actions? Wow, I miss an S. You would take in order to do something about it, to solve this problem of getting girls more interested into computing activities. This is something for you, and if you really want, you are welcome to share them in the chat. We thought of doing a poll question, so it's really like, if you were to do just one, what would be the first action you would take to motivate the girls to take part in computing activities?
So
Yeah.
Sorry, Joanna. So just to quickly flag up, you should now see in your sort of WebEx interface on the right-hand side, you should see that question popping up, and you can click on one answer and then submit it. I'll give you around sort of maybe 1.5 minutes to answer this. I'm already seeing the answers coming in. Currently, we have 13 out of 29 people who have not yet answered. That number is going down. So seeing some good responses here.
Okay, so if there would be just one question, one action that you would take, and what would you do? I'm very interested and curious to see what interests you more, and what do you think it's actually easier to approach.
8 people left who haven't yet answered. I'll give you about 30 more seconds. If you are on a tablet or a mobile device, you won't be able to answer this in the poll, but you can post an answer into the chat.
That would be great.
6 more people, so 5 more people. So 10 more seconds and then I'll close the poll. If you haven't yet answered, please still do so. Okay, and closing the poll now. Just a few seconds before it will show up, the answers will show up also in the bottom right of your WebEx interface. Okay, you should now be able to see the results here.
Very happy to see the amount of people who are interested in running a workshop. That's great. Also to invite women, I think this is very easy. Basically, you just need to find somebody around there. And what I forgot to mention, but I think it's very relevant, is to not be afraid to approach companies or developers or freelancers to help you with either running a workshop or talk at an event. And I think usually programming people are very, very friendly, and this is one of the feedback we actually receive after RailsCurves events. They thought that these people are too geeks and don't want to talk to anybody, but you will see they are so receptive and so eager and open to help. You will be positively impressed, I'm sure. Okay, if there are other questions, I am very curious to hear them or to see them in the chat.
Okay, well,
I think, yeah.
Sorry, Anna. Thanks a lot, first of all, for that presentation. Some very interesting points there and interesting examples. There have already been a couple of questions popping up in the chat, and I'll relay those to you now. But for everybody else in the webinar, please still continue to put your questions into the chat, and then Oana will have an opportunity to respond. The first question, Oana, which, well, actually Paola has just sort of reinforced here, is from Yuko, who asks, what do you think is the best tool for girls to start programming? Scratch, Greenfoot, GameMaker, Kodu, or Alice? And he's thinking here of girls 13 to 15, of 13 or 15 age. Do you have any experience with these tools, and which ones would you recommend for this age group?
I have seen Scratch and I have heard about Alice, but I cannot say I necessarily tried them. So I think the best way would be to just try it out, see what it works for them. Eventually, if you try to find, I think the most important is basically, okay, what problem do we want to solve? Try to find for them an interesting exercise, and then see which of the 4 or 5 tools can help you get there.
Are you familiar with any other tools, maybe not one of these, that you have found yourself in your own work, maybe as a student, or in working with girls to work fairly well?
Well, generally, I think that what actually helps them is having somebody next to them who they can ask questions. Rather than being at home alone and telling them go to Scratch and do a game, they will be more into doing that in a group or knowing that they can jump to somebody, at least until you get them started. So I think that would prevail towards what is the end tool that you would use to make them start somewhere.
Okay, very interesting point there, and it links to another question which wasn't actually asked in the chat, but was asked in the TriSider on the course, and that's the role of parents and close family. This was asked by Nuno from Portugal, but there were a couple of other people who commented on the role of parents as well. Do you have any experience of getting parents involved in this, or how we could work with parents, given that it might be quite helpful for them to be supportive of their daughters in getting more involved in this whole area?
What I believe here is that indeed their example at home counts a lot, and if girls will see them doing, they will follow as well. Now, if they don't see them doing, then it means that it's even more important that they will see this and do this at school. What I also believe that talking to parents, and also maybe that's another idea of an event that could happen if you happen to have the chance to meet parents, try to talk to them, give them some numbers, why is it important, ask for their support. For example, support might mean just bringing the girl on a Saturday for a 2 hours workshop or a trial at the school. So let's say don't count on them to do, I don't know, to start doing coding at home when they might not be even into it. So that might be as well a blocking. So I think that trying to get them on your side is a good strategy, and then make sure that the school does as much as possible, or you as a person, if parents at home don't actually do more than that. But I guess we need some awareness at that level as well, I believe.
Absolutely. No, this is, probably a much bigger question about changing attitudes in society.
We should do another webinar just on that. Or participants should do a webinar and discuss about that. That would be a good topic.
It was a comment that popped up a couple of times on the course, where some people told of experiences where the parents were actually detrimental to the experience of the daughter in trying to get more engaged in the topic, saying that this was not of relevance to her. So, okay, quite a big question there, but quite important, of course, to think about how we can work with parents, be they skeptical or supportive.
If participants have I don't know, examples from their classes, if they had to convince parents or something, best practices, I'm very eager to find out as well. Please share. I guess it would help everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe we can add an element there also into the actual course, not just on the webinar.
Indeed.
So just to continue with the questions, there was one question also asked by Yuko, but it was also popping up again and again in the TriSider on the course, asked by quite a few participants. And this is the role of sort of making things with girls, or working with robots. Is this something that you have some experience with? Is this maybe a good way to engage girls in the topic, getting them to actually make a physical object and then programming them?
Definitely. I think that's a very good start. I think Coder Dojo is actually a very good place for this. So if you try to find events in your, on one hand, try to find events next to you, next to where you are, and then on the other hand, you can as well try to organize one if there's none. If you get a small bunch of people who know how to program, and then co-working spaces or schools are very welcome for this kind of event. This, I think, will be very, very good start for them. I don't see why not building robots wouldn't be a good start for girls to play. Definitely.
Okay, thanks. There was a slight sort of maybe controversial point or response to a point that you made from Petronia, and she said in your presentation you suggested giving small tasks, doing sort of step-by-step in small bits. And she sort of just flagged up the danger there. If we give small tasks only to girls, that could be a sign that we consider them to be not so competent as the boys. So maybe that's a more general point we should all be aware of, that in our work with girls, we should ensure not to single them out, and maybe give them easier or, well, maybe different kinds of tasks. What's your take on that?
Well, I honestly didn't think about it that way, indeed, in the sense that just isolate the girls and give just them something to do with that. Of course, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, I believe that we just need more people into programming. So, of course, if you give them tasks to everybody. The idea is more about for kids, girls especially, but okay, kids, let's not, of course, you cannot isolate them. To use digital tools in order to bridge other subjects. What I meant is that they shouldn't, think about computing, let's say, only during the computing class, or anyway, see computing as a tool, but they could as well do, teacher could use computing activities in other classes to get to their point. And of course, my point was not to just isolate the girls, but it's a good feedback to think about.
Okay, excellent. There was a question now from Nada coming in here via the chat, saying, my daughter will participate in the Rails Girls event in Belgrade, Serbia. Any advice for her? So maybe we can have that as the sort of closing question. If someone is participating in the Rails Girls event, what would be the advice you would give? And what kind of advice could the teachers give to their students when they participate in such an event?
I think the most important thing is to be open and to not be ashamed of asking any question. We might have a problem with, and generally students, when you're a student, you have this feeling that, okay, if I ask this question, I will seem stupid, and because I didn't understand what was the point. You're there to learn, so please make them understand that any question is a good question. If it's not clear enough, they don't understand, just ask 5 times if it's needed until you get the point. So they shouldn't believe that the problem is on their side because they didn't understand or didn't get the point, but it might be as well on the other side. So the trainers, the teachers, we are trying to do this out of voluntary work, so willing to teach, but we might not be the best persons to teach nevertheless. So of course, if you make them open enough and not fear anything, I think that's the best advice I could give. And generally, I think such an experience, it's very enlightening, and the people there are very nice and open. So I'm sure that she will only come with good memories and energy to go on. I'm curious though, what's the age of the daughter? if Nada is still on the line.
Okay, well, maybe in the meantime, there's another quick question that popped up here. Is there any organization that gives money to support these kind of movements? We need more computers. I think that's probably a very general point, which applies to quite a few of us. But do you know of any organizations that teachers can address which particularly support maybe a workshop for girls?
Well, for example, all Rails Girls events are actually sponsored by companies. So by that, we generally ask participants to bring laptops, but if needed, we also provide, in the sense that, I will definitely be very happy to give my own laptop for a Saturday if somebody doesn't have one. Now, regarding these kind of logistics, I think that companies could be very well involved. So, for example, if you want to do a Rails Girls event, if you find a company that is using Rails, so Rails is the framework that we are using to develop the application, then I'm sure that if they have, computers at their office, that could be already a start. On the other hand, I know that Google at one point was donating. There were all kinds of grants that they were giving away for organizing events. Coder Dojo especially, so for kids targeted. More specifically than this, I don't know, but I could maybe get interested, like do a bit of more research and maybe come back to you, Ben, and you can communicate these results to participants.
Okay, that sounds very good. And I think also at European SchoolNet we work with quite a few companies, and I can definitely confirm that there's a lot of interest from companies to support these kind of initiatives. It's obviously always slightly different at the local level where you are in the school, and approaching the companies there at that level maybe is slightly different to what we're experiencing at that European level. But ultimately, I think those kind of initiatives and that kind of interest we're seeing at the European level will sort of trickle down to the local level. So I'm sure if you do approach a local distributor of one of the big companies, Acer, Samsung, Google, etc., then there are opportunities. It does require obviously time and effort to organize these things, and I know as teachers that's always quite a sort of a difficult thing to have. But yes, anyhow, I think as Oana said, there are opportunities, and there is support definitely out there.
Indeed. I can see Petronia has a last question, maybe.
Well, Petronia's question, I think, a very important question, but quite a big question and quite difficult, I think, to answer here in this webinar. And it's one of the big questions that we at European SchoolNet always try to address in all our projects. I don't think we'll find an answer, a very short answer, here in this webinar, unless, Oana, you have a very good idea right now you want to share on that issue.
I actually believe it's so broad, and I think that it's going better than ever. Of course, there is always, it can always get even better. But no, I don't have a super short answer for this. So I think that just trying and doing, and probably my dream is to really have computing and IT and coding at an early age in schools, and not only, you know, as classes, but also as fun classes, so to really have the logistics necessary for that. I guess we are quite some steps away from that, but you know, with small bit by bit, we will actually change all these and open access even more.
Okay, there's another interesting question coming in here from Rayhan, and she's asking, what qualities do you need to organize a workshop like the ones that you do? What would be sort of the key things as a teacher, as a presenter of such a workshop, that you would highlight here as important?
Well, on one hand, I think there is the administrative part. So having some time, like 3 months, and being able to manage that. By that I mean location, some money in order to, you know, for example, we provide breakfast and lunch and all drinks between, and even T-shirts for the girls. So on one hand, make sure you get money from companies. You don't need that much, as it seems. You don't need a lot of money. It's incredible how much you can do with very little. And then making it popular to people, schools, parents, girls, make them find about it. And then on the other hand, you need to have somebody a bit technical who can take care of the content and you know, prepare a nice flow, explain hands-on. So might be a developer. There are a lot of developers who like to do this, and they feel very useful when they do this. So if you get in touch with the community in your local town, I'm sure you will find people who would like to take care, especially of this part. Usually developers don't like the overhead of organizing, but if you can take care of that and find somebody, just make sure the content goes fine, then you're more than good. And a lot of openness. Generally, it helps.
Okay, thanks, Oana. I'll take sort of one final question here. It's quite a technical, specialized question. Let's see if you can sort of answer this one. It's from Yuko, and he asks, what do you think to integrate more mathematics and programming teaching? For example, geometrical problems to solve via programming. Is this something that you focus on, you address in your workshops?
No, not necessarily, but actually I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this point that if you're a math teacher, I think you can always find examples, like extrapolate. So for example, if they need to to start learning the, I don't know, Pythagoras theorem, for example. You can definitely find a way to make them, you know, not just give them the two, how do you say that in English? You know, the two sides and then find the third. Try to make it more interesting. What example can I give right now? I don't know, extrapolate to a yard. Make them think about their yard and make them think how much a part of their yard would be. So I don't know, find funny, interesting tasks that have actually rely on mathematics and that they would like to solve. It's definitely good to start with math and try to solve geometrical, and all kinds of small equations using computing. It's how they learn to automate things as well. So it's definitely a good start.
Okay, I think we've covered quite a lot of ground there. Thanks a lot for all your input, Oana, and thanks a lot for all the questions coming from all of you here participating in the webinar, and also for the many contributions in the Tri-Sider that's actually on the course. And do feel free to continue commenting and discussing some of these ideas directly on the course there. And as Oana said, she'll do some more research on a couple of the points, and I can share those via the actual course.
Indeed.
So I think that's it for tonight. Oana, I don't know if you want to say a quick sort of final word before we close.
Yes, I just want to thank all participants for being here tonight, taking time to have this talk, and I wish them good luck with their work, and to not forget that you have a very important role, and any action you will take, I'm sure you will be one step closer to making more girls be interested into programming. And generally, if there is one thing I want to let you with, is that there is no difference between girls and boys. It's just the society who makes it. But let's not emphasize that, and just try to get as many kids interested into this, because we need them out here. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's a very nice closing word. So yeah, thanks again to everybody participating here, and thanks especially to Oana for joining and taking the time
as well for
to talk to us. And if you want to have a look over the webinar again, it has been, or we're recording it at the moment, and I will post the recording onto the course. So that's it, and looking forward to seeing you on the course in the next module next week. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Good night.